Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So before I jump into this video, I just want to inform you guys that I recently found out that school is actually starting a week later than planned. So I definitely will be having more content coming. I'm working on that currently, and I'm still waiting to see where my preceptorship is. So fingers crossed, I'm in the NICU. All right. So this video is about me working as a nurse, PRN, at a crisis prevention facility. So this facility is similar to working at the previous detox center I worked at, but they have a lot of differences. So at this facility, they have 4 different units. They have a unit called respite. They have observation/retreat. We also have the living room and then the detox unit. So among those 4 units, I have worked in the retreat, I've worked in the living room, and I worked in detox. So I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of details about each unit. So first, I'm gonna start off with retreat because it is what holds all the other units together. So retreat is when we have patients, they can come voluntarily or they can come CEC, PEC, that sort of thing, RPO by police officer. So we get patients that are in a crisis. So we are here to just kind of help them get back on their terms because it's not a long-term facility. It's just to kind of get them stabilized and back to attending their treatments. So on retreat, we get a patient. The first thing we do is they come, we go do our COVID screening, of course, checking the temperatures, asking questions, and then we bring them on in. So after that, we have a MILU. So they come with the nurse as we are assessing these questions, and they come and gain rapport with these patients. They check them to make sure there's no shoestrings on their shoes. They tell them how many pairs of outfits they can bring in the back with them, and so forth. It's a lot, but I really want to just focus on my role. So the patients' things are stored, but they do have a few items that they're allowed to keep with them. So after that part of the screening happens, they are triaged. So in the triage room, you get in their background information, like their medical history, have they ever had substance abuse, any suicidal, homicidal ideations, auditory or visual hallucinations as well. You find out what kind of medications they're on, are they currently seeing a physician? It's like a lot of questions. So while that part of the triage is being done, you get a urine sample for them because you're checking to see if they have any substances in their urine. And you also do a breathalyzer test. And if they're pregnant, you also do a pregnancy test because we get medication. We're not a facility that takes pregnant women. So all of that is done. LPNs are able to do that role. RNs are the main ones that do the admits, but once it comes to their initial assessment, the RNs are the only nurses in the facility that can do them. So most of the time, all the RNs work in retreat. So that takes place. So after their initial assessment and their test, all the things are documented. They're brought into the unit. And so in this unit, there's like reclining chairs for them because they're to be observed for 23 hours. The bathrooms stay locked. It's several bathrooms, but if they need to go, the MILU or the peer support specialist unlocks those doors. It's a safety hazard for them because they're in a crisis. You want to make sure they're not going to harm themselves. So they're assigned to their chair, and whatever point of the day or if they need something to eat, they are given something to eat. And that observed. So of course we're getting the vitals every 4 hours, and if they're on a Cowles or a CWA scale, that is also done being every 4 hours. And then the physician, at some point when they get some time, they come see the patient within those 23 hours, and then they are assigned to a unit, whether it's the detox unit or the living room. So I'm going to roll right into the next unit. So the living room, that is the first unit that I was trained in. So the living room is actually our mental health patients. Some of them have substance abuse history, and some of them don't. Some of them are there because of suicidal ideations, homicidal ideations, auditory or visual hallucinations. So they need help right then and there. Some of the reasons that they're admitted because they stopped taking their medications, they don't think that they need to use it consistently, they stopped seeing the provider, or they never followed up from the last visit or from being discharged from this facility if it was like a first time incident. So it's that kind of thing. And meds are given at 9, 3, and mainly 9 and 3. So most of the time, most patients either get meds just at 9. Some of them don't get any meds depending on what they're diagnosed with. And we have our peer support specialist and our Milo. So throughout the day, they have groups that it's voluntary, so they do not have to attend. So they are able to stay in their rooms and just come out when it's time to eat. There is TV time for them as well in the unit. They can actually come out, pick something, long as it doesn't have any violence and things of that nature, anything that's not enticing. So they kind of have like that home experience. It's very nice. Most of the time they don't have a roommate because we have a lot of rooms, but it is possible that they can have a roommate depending on how full the unit is. So a lot of medications that I have given has been like Depakote, a mood stabilizer. I do get from time to time some diabetics, so they're getting insulin, so I'm using the sliding scale. There are other patients that take some other meds. I can't really think because it varies upon the patient on that unit. So y'all, I really like this job. It's calm, and you're never the only nurse on the unit. It's always at least one other nurse, and then you have your 2 techs, should I say, peer support specialists, and then the Milo. So you're never alone in case things get escalated and there's a situation where you have to de-escalate the patient. So if you ever taken a MOAB training course or a CPI course, you definitely know what I'm talking about. So then there's the other unit, the detox unit. So this unit is a little different, and it's different from what I experienced working at a detox facility. So here, they are not giving like detox meds. They're not giving Cirex, not Suboxone, Tramadol, and all that sort of things. Here, they're given PRN meds if needed to help with their detox symptoms. Now, for like the patients that have substance abuse using alcohol, of course, they are getting a thiamine every morning. And they also all the patients get like a folic acid, and some of them get a multivitamin and some other meds. So it just really depends on the situation. I think maybe I gave Ativan once because my patient was detoxing, like really fast, and they were portraying like certain symptoms, so I needed to handle situations, so that happened, but it was oral, it wasn't an injection, so that was really good that it hadn't went to that point. So on this unit, patients get meds at 9, and some of them get it at 3, and they also use gabapentin for some patients depending on what they're detoxing off of, or if they actually was on gabapentin prescribed by their physician and they just hadn't followed up. So we do, for our medications that patients are taking and being prescribed, it has to be within the past 3 months. So we have to contact the doctor or the pharmacy to see what they were taking. We can't just sit there and The providers can't just prescribe them anything. It has to be like some type of solid thing, because when you're on a detox unit, you know, they could be seeking and saying, oh, I was on Adderall, or I was on gabapentin, or I was on this, I was on that, and they never was on that things. They were actually just using it, you know, outside the facility. They weren't actually prescribed that thing. So we do get vitals once a day on the detox unit, and if I didn't mention that, it's in the living room, well, once per shift for the detox unit and as well as the living room, because they're pretty much stable unless, you know, you're seeing like a spike in the blood pressure. And for the parameters for that, if their blood pressure is like 160/90 and higher, that's when we implement the PRN clonidine. Of course, we contact the provider, tell them what's going on, and that's the parameters. So we are able to administer that clonidine 0.2 milligrams to that patient to get that blood pressure under control. So on this unit, the patients are superly encouraged to attend group. So group normally occurs right after they eat breakfast, and their breakfast comes about 8:30ish. So when you're giving your meds at 9, you know, you can just pull them to the side while they're in group, or just walk up to them and give it to them. And I like this facility a lot better than the previous facility, which I love that job, but this one actually has an Omnicell, like a Pyxis. So pulling the meds, the patient names are on there, and you know, the meds are on there for the time that they get, so you can compare it to the MAR as well as the Omnicell. So it's like very easy to see, and charting is so simple. You only have to do 1 note per day, but me as a person, I like to do a note every 2 hours, even if nothing changed, just to cover myself, saying that the patient is stable, if the patient is resting, because anything can happen, or an escalation situation could happen, and then like if something comes about and they're like, well, what was going on between that, you need to be able to refer to what was going on with that patient prior to that situation. So I always make notes every 2 hours. And you actually able to save it as a draft before you finalize it. So that's a cool thing. You can keep editing it. So like adding the time. So I might put like 0900, then 1100, and then 1300, and so forth, while I go out throughout my day with my patients. Now there has been times where I only had 2 patients on the unit, and it's still another nurse, and then you still have your text. And then I have been on units where we have like 11 patients. So it's really not bad. The maximum number of patients on a unit is 16. And there's times where I've been on the unit and we had 2 patients, and none of them got admitted. Those 2 patients got discharged, and then I had no patients up until the time it was time for me to clock out and go home. So you just never know what the day entails. So y'all might be interested in working at a crisis prevention facility, because you get to establish rapport with these patients, and you're talking with them, like seeing what put them to this point, and you're just there to listen and to help. And sometimes you have to provide redirection to them. I mean, I've had patients that were hyper religious, and I have had patients that were good upon admit, like came in voluntarily, and then as like the days progressed, they became PEC because they were like slowly deteriorating with their mental health. So typically some patients might be there 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, and then sometimes when they're PEC, they can be there 10 days, 14 days. It just really depends. That patient really has to be stabilized until they are allowed to leave. So guys, that's just a little bit about my new job, PRN of course, and I am just so excited to keep y'all on this journey with me. With this particular job, I don't normally talk about the pay, but just in case y'all want to know, let me pull it up real quick. Just bear with me on my app. So I get paid $26 an hour. And we do get like some shift diffs and stuff like that. So, and that's me working during the day. During the night, if I worked, I would make $28 an hour. So for this recent check that I got paid, I worked 123.25 hours and 123.67 hours, and my gross pay was $2,434.09, but my take home was $1,890.99. So taxes be hitting, and I'm gonna try to show you guys. I don't know if I can get it to show. It's gonna show backwards, but that should tell y'all I'm not kidding. But y'all, I'm so happy that y'all have been sticking with me. I hope I've been entertaining for you all, and hope to see y'all in the next video. See y'all later.